Welcome back to another episode of Wicked Hot, everybody. This is John.
And Kevin.
And we're back at it with another episode of Wicked Scary Month. I'm just going to call it Wicked Scary Month. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's October. It's the scariest month. We did slack again this week, though. We did not post anything on the Instagram. Or if we did, we posted after the fact, so we will not hear a shout out on the show, but we will shout you out on the Twitter and the Instagram.
It's hard to post. It would have been hard to post a picture for this week's topic because we're doing a variety episode.
That is true. Yes. So we're doing a variety episode. Format's going to be a little bit different. I know I feel like I've been saying that for the past couple of things. We actually do have a standard format, guys. Like Kevin said, this is a variety show. So we'll be covering some funny horror movies, some horror moments in non-horror movies, and then kind of a little rundown of some little special goodies.
Treats, if you will.
Yeah. Thank you.
Halloween treats.
Halloween treats for this new episode of Wicked Hot Movie Mayhem. Let's get into it.
Wicked smart, wicked cool, wicked fucking stupid, whatever the fuck. Something wicked.
I'm baking like a toasted teaser. It's so hot here.
My boy's wicked smart.
Cause the boy is hotter than hot. He's hot, hot.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Before I kick us off with our funny horror movies, I just want to go over the fact that horror movies from back then, I feel like they can just be considered funny, whether they were purposely made to be comedic or not. It's the one genre, I think, that probably ages the worst.
Oh, definitely. 80s and 90s horror movies are the worst aging movies ever. Because you could... I saw some of the horror movies that I loved in the 80s and 90s, and they were serious and they were scary back then. And I watch them now and I laugh because they're so stupid nowadays.
They really are. There may be some that still hold the terror and you still get some jump scares that could be cheap. But on the whole, the source material and just the way some of it looks, I'm not saying all of them, but for the most part, it's most of horror movies.
Yeah.
And you're right. You just can't help but actually laugh. And again, this could be the most serious movie, no comedic intent at all, and I'm rolling on my side.
Yeah. But the ones that I picked for my favorite horror comedy are actually horror comedies. I don't know about you, but mine are actually horror comedies.
Yes, mine are as well. And I guess we'll go over, because I think I have some stuff later on that is definitely unintentional funny for me.
Okay.
So for my first one, this may be the pinnacle of the horror comedy. It's Evil Dead 2. It's just so it's so slapstick. I mean, you have Ash getting hurt all the time. He's getting thrown against trees, getting thrown out of his car. The Delta. Bruce Campbell is God when it comes to horror protagonist, male horror protagonist, and comedic at the same time. So for people who don't know what Evil Dead is, first of all, watch them. Specifically Evil Dead 2. It starts off where we have Bruce Campbell as the main character, Ash, and his girlfriend, Linda, I think, are in a cabin that is scary as fuck. And basically, he has like a tape recorder, and there's the Necronomicon, which is the book that summons all these demons. And this tape recording is speaking all these Latin phrases. So then that basically brings in and this is the one thing I like about Sam Raimi movies is for something so low budget, it's so menacing, the camera, because you never see this entity that is attacking them. It's always just first person view of it speeding towards the house.
Yeah, that's the best way to shoot a horror movie is spend absolutely zero budget on a monster or a killer or anything, and just have it be the camera, because the camera you got to pay for anyways.
Right, it's already
why
expensive.
not just have that be the killer?
Exactly. I will say though that they did spend a lot of money. I think for the most part, I know they got a bigger budget because for the first movie, I think they shot it with $200,000. The second one, because of the critical success, the second one got a couple million. So Sam Raimi really pushed the boundaries of the creatures, because I feel like for the first one, it was just Ash's sister who got, zombified or possessed, and it wasn't that crazy of makeup, and they ended up hiring like a legitimate makeup effects company to just bring up the production value with the various demons that are in this movie. Which,
it's funny that the Evil Dead 2 is way more over the top and crazy than Evil Dead 1.
It really is, because I know there's specific scenes, and again, I don't know if this is, are we fucked up for laughing about certain things that normally shouldn't be considered funny? But for me, and I don't know if this was supposed to be terrifying or funny or both, Ash ends up cutting his girlfriend's head off because she becomes possessed. And then there's this weird claymation scene of Ash's girlfriend's body just dancing to music playing. It's like a very just random and weird scene, but I was laughing because it was just ridiculous. And from that, it just escalates even more. We have Ash fighting because his girlfriend bites Ash on the hand, so he kind of gets infected in a way, and his hand becomes necrotic. And it's just completely black. It's disgusting. And then you have the hand coming alive, and it's smashing his head all over the place in the kitchen, smashing shit on his head. It's just very it's very like Three Stooges.
It's definitely like a slapstick comedy type of humor. And if you're not into that, you're not into it. But I love that movie.
But that's not the only thing it's the overusage of gore and mixed with slapstick, mixed with just kind of I don't know, just overall ridiculous shit. The co-writer of the movie, in regards to like the slapstick hand brawl scene, he had done a short called Attack of the Helping Hand, where it's basically the hamburger helper hand, like the glove. And it basically just does shit with like a housewife, and then the housewife battles the hand.
Is it supposed to be the hamburger helper hand?
Well, he wrote a skit about the hamburger helper hand, and then he ended up just writing it into the Evil Dead movie. But no, it wasn't. Okay. It wasn't actually supposed to be. Although that would be funny if his hand got bitten. It's like
sponsored, fucking sponsored by them.
His hand just becomes like a Mickey Mouse glove, and that would be very confusing for all the demon stuff. And it's just like a Mickey Mouse glove on his hand, beating the shit out of him. But one of my favorite scenes is because when he's getting beat up by his hand, the hand is like chittering and laughing, and then he gets the chainsaw and he's, who's laughing now? And he just cuts his own fucking hand off, and then the hand becomes sentient and crawling around like the Addams Family, and it starts giving him the finger. It starts flicking him off, and it hits a mouse trap, and it starts like squealing, and then he ends up killing this hand. And this is what I mean by the overusage of gore, because the entire wall just sprays out blood like a pressure washer, just fucking coming out, and he is drenched in blood. And then the whole house starts laughing at him because he falls down, and then he starts laughing. It's interesting, but I don't know if there's supposed to be terror behind that. Which is kind of the challenge of, if you're watching a horror comedy, how do I, from, what is it, 1980 something? I think it came out.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, how am I supposed to know what's supposed to be scary and what's supposed to be not scary?
Yeah, that's tough about those movies, because like you watch movies like Friday the 13th, and most of the stuff is really campy and stupid, and you're not really scared. But like when you watched it back then, it was terrifying. So it's really hard to judge those horror comedies that are that old, because most of the time it's so over the top you're like laughing the entire time and never scared at all.
Right. Yeah, no, not one point. I mean, even for the climax of this movie, which is the fight between the old lady demon, Henrietta, and Ash, when he's fighting her, I mean, there are some parts where she just is a creepy, disgusting looking character as it is. So if you've never seen it, I would look it up because it's gross. But he punches her and he like backhands her where she's just standing there going like, like just taking it. And it's clearly not like a legitimate fight where there's tension or someone's going to get hurt. I mean, someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get killed and eaten, which happens very often with just blood just pouring out of the basement and other crazy shit. But
it's like Dracula Dead and Loving It, that scene where
yeah,
he stabs him and the
best scene ever. Best scene ever.
So much blood.
Yeah. She just ate. Which fun fact about Henrietta, actually, she was played by Ted Raimi, which is the brother of director Sam Raimi. And he even comes back as Henrietta in Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is the TV show and stars. And if you haven't seen that, I would recommend it because it is.
I haven't seen it.
It pumps up it's basically an Evil Dead 2 series. It takes place right after Evil Dead 2. I don't know if they consider Army of Darkness in canon, but it's definitely on the comedic level of Evil Dead 2. Actually, even more so, honestly. It's very funny.
Have you seen the remake of Evil Dead, the 2013?
I have seen the remake, and it is not funny at all.
I only laughed at maybe one or two scenes, but
that one's a remake of Evil Dead, which I don't think was really meant to be comedic.
It still was it still had elements of comedy, but Evil Dead 2 is like over the top comedy. But there was a few scenes that I laughed at Evil Dead, and it had been a long time since I saw the original Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. And I was watching Evil Dead the remake, and I was like, this is supposed to be funny, and it's dog shit.
That's kind of what I thought.
Like, you know how when you watch a horror movie, you're just like sitting there waiting for like the jump scare or like the killer to come out. Evil Dead, the remake, I'm sitting there like waiting for something funny to happen, and it never comes. And I'm just like,
it never comes.
Yeah.
And also, it's not even, it takes itself way too seriously. I feel like they were like, we need to go 100% on the demon possession stuff. And we need to focus 100% on the story. I don't really care about the story or the demons. You do with the show because it's much more in depth, but it's funny the way they tell it.
Mm-hmm.
In the 2013 remake, not so much.
Yeah, it seems like they took themselves a little too seriously and didn't go with the slapstick, ridiculous Dracula Dead and Loving It, blood gushing.
Well, they did go with like the insane amount of gore. But I feel
it was like
because
serious gore. It wasn't.
It was serious. It was 100% serious gore. Yeah.
At
There's
that point, it turned
funny gore and serious.
There's
gore.
funny gore, and then there's like torture porn, and there's like no in between there.
There really isn't. But yeah, Evil Dead 2 for me is the pinnacle of horror comedy. I think it set the standard for those type of movies. I mean, if you think about it, I'm just thinking out loud, but Jason Lives was after it. Child's Play 2, I'm pretty sure, was after. Jason Lives is 1986. And that movie's fucking insane.
Oh, man.
So now do we know if... Oh, shit.
Well, I don't think so, because...
Jason Lives wasn't supposed to be funny, though. Or, I mean...
It wasn't supposed to be over the top like Evil Dead 2. It was supposed to be campy and meta, but it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? That movie's fucking hilarious. I'm still going Evil Dead 2 as pinnacle and kind of game changer for horror comedies.
Definitely.
But it's hard to for us to ignore the fact that Jason Lives came a year before it. I'm just saying, that's just me.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we talked about last week with Hostel coming out and being like the first gore porn, and then them like retroactively saying like, oh no, wait a minute, Saw is the first gore porn movie.
Yeah, Or not even Night of the Living Dead.
True. Very true. It's kind of funny because my first one is like the exact premise of the hand scenario with Evil Dead 2.
Oh, really?
And I'm talking about the 90s gem of idle hands.
Oh, yes, yes.
And that stars the 90s horror teen godfather Devon Sawa.
I don't even know. What is he in?
He was in Final Destination. He was the main character in Final Destination.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
And then he did like nothing else, pretty much.
So he's like the Final Destination guy.
He's a Final Destination guy, yeah. And I don't think...
You said pinnacle 90s. I don't even think Final Destination came out in the 90s.
It came
I'm
out...
pretty sure it was like 2000.
Well, 2000? Come on. Now you're...
Oh, yeah, like 1990 is part of the 80s. Come on, Kevin.
Well, I mean, technically, Idle Hands came out in 99, so it's at the very end of...
So he's really of the early 2000s.
I will late
say
90s, early 2000s.
If you look at things from the early 2000s, they look like they're from the 90s, which kind of blew my mind a little bit because I forgot.
Yeah. The movie is pretty much exactly how you explained it for Evil Dead 2. So the main character, Anton, played by Devon Sawa, his hand becomes possessed and he ends up killing his parents, like violently killing his parents.
How did his hand get possessed?
Well, that's the thing. So throughout the movie, they don't really explain how the hand gets possessed, but
it just is.
Yeah, Vivica A. Fox is in the movie, and she's like the hunter of this possession thing, and it keeps transferring from person to person. And she finds the last person that had it, and he's in jail, and his hand's just all fucking shriveled up, and he's dead. And she's like, "Fuck it, moved on." So that's how Devon Sawa gets it. Never explains like how he got it or anything like that.
Like a true horror comedy.
Right. So he kills his parents violently, and then
was that a funny moment?
It was pretty funny because
okay,
the dad
like intentionally or we're just fucked up.
No, intentionally funny because the dad goes downstairs because, so it's around Halloween. They're laying in bed and the mom is like, "Did you remember to blow out the candles in the pumpkins?" And he's like, "Yeah, I blew out the fucking candles." and so they hear a noise downstairs. He goes downstairs and, the wife is upstairs. She hears a noise. She goes downstairs and she's looking for her husband, and she like slips on blood, doesn't even realize it, and she looks at the pumpkin and the candles are still lit in it, and she goes, "Motherfucker." Like and she doesn't realize that there's all this like blood and like bloody knives around and gore everywhere, a fucking eyeball on the ground.
Oh my god.
So the mom and dad both get killed, and that's kind of how the movie starts. Devon Sawa wakes up not knowing any of this and goes downstairs, gets high, and watches MTV, which is like the 90s thing.
Oh my god, for sure.
So he mentions he hadn't seen his parents for like 5 days, and
yeah,
now,
I remember
now he's worried about it.
He goes to Seth Green and the guy from Daredevil, which I always forget his name.
I know him as the guy from Mighty Ducks, Eldon Henson.
Yes. Okay.
So he goes to their house, and
when he go. By the way, this is how I know it's a '90s movie: is when they still call weed reefer, because he's like, "Do you have any reefer?"
Yes. It's funny because he has an inhaler around his neck that is not actually an inhaler.
He does.
It's a weed pipe, which is hilarious.
Okay.
So he's carrying it. He has the weed pipe around his neck the entire movie until like the very end. And it's funny because that's when he finds out that his hand's possessed. He ends up accidentally killing Seth Green by smashing a bottle into his face.
Yep.
And cutting the Mighty Ducks guy
his head off. Yeah.
Cutting his head off. And another thing that pisses me off about the movie, he buries them and they come back to life. Doesn't explain how the fuck they came back to life, why they came back to life. It's just so ridiculous. And
And the Mighty Ducks guy basically just lugs his head around.
Yeah, he lugs his head
like
around.
extra baggage.
Yeah, and at one point he's in the kitchen battling with his hand, kind of like the Evil Dead 2 thing. He's battling with his hand.
I remember this.
And he ends up stabbing it, and he tries to cut it off, and he eventually does cut it off with a butcher's knife and throws it into the microwave.
First of all, he tries to cut it off with a bagel slicer.
Yes.
Can we just talk about the fact that he's trying to do that? And also, the Mighty Ducks guy, I feel like they try to use the head on random places trope so often. Like they put his head on the counter, they put his head somewhere else just so they could cut a hole in the set for him to just pop his fucking head out.
And you get the trope of a headless guy walking around in the background an alarming amount of times in this movie.
Yeah. And that the body just knows where the head is and has comedic timing of turning his head around so he doesn't see him cut his arm off.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. But yeah, that's one of the funnier parts of the movie is when he tries to cut his hand off with the bagel slicer. And he's like, that won't even cut my bagels. That won't cut your hand off. And he does it, and you like wince at it, and you're like, oh god. And it just bends the bagel slicer.
Yeah.
And he eventually does cut it off. It's hilarious because Seth Green's reaction is like
grab an iron.
very startled, and then runs to grab an iron to cauterize the wound that his fucking nub.
An unplugged one.
Yeah, it did make a sizzling noise.
It made a sizzling noise, and there was no indication that it was ever plugged in.
That's what I was thinking.
We're nitpicking a stupid and ridiculous movie, but be consistent, idle hands.
That was the first thing that I thought when he grabbed it. I was like, that iron was plugged in the entire time? Like, how long is that iron been plugged in? Maybe 5 days since his mom last ironed something.
Yeah, but it's not going to stay hot. The water would run out.
Well,
the water steam.
I think the funniest part of the movie is when, right after he cuts his hand off, Seth Green and Mighty Ducks guy go to get a first aid kit from the other guy's house. And Devon Sawa throws the hand in the microwave and starts microwaving it, and it's like bubbling up and looking disgusting. And he eventually leaves to go try and bang Jessica Alba at the Halloween party.
I thought he tries to bang her
a couple times.
His hand is possessed. Because he ties his hands up.
He definitely
he smacks her ass a bunch of times.
And he chokes her a lot.
Yeah. But it's not really him, it's the hand.
It's the hand, yeah. So he throws the hand in the microwave, and it's funny because Seth Green comes back, and they have the first aid kit, and they also have microwavable burritos. So he opens the microwave, and the hand just like flies out and breaks through the window. And the Mighty Ducks guy says, do you think we should clean this first? And Seth Green goes, oh yeah, maybe we should clean this. And while we're at it, why don't we clean the whole fucking house? And he just throws the burrito in and starts microwaving it. It's the most ridiculous scene. And I fucking lost it. I lost it back in 99, and I lost it last night when I watched the movie. It was hilarious.
That is an amazing line.
Yeah. So there's antics throughout the entire movie, and it's pretty ridiculous. There's tons and tons of 90s references like Hanson, Jewel, Baywatch. Your classic 30-year-old high school student who also drives like a giant lifted truck. Two of my favorite bands are actually featured in this movie, and that is The Offspring, who are the band at the dance. Like, they're the performing band.
I've never even heard of this band.
You've never heard of The Offspring?
No.
You a pretty fly for a white guy?
I'm not a big music person.
Oh my god. Anyways, everybody else every 99.9% of people that know what The Offspring are.
What was the other band?
The other band is Zebrahead, and nobody probably knows who that is. That's one of my favorite bands. I
was like, fuck you if you know who that is. God damn it. I don't want to like point this out, but Jessica Alba, was she trying to be like really horrible?
That's something I don't know.
I don't think she's really bad. I mean, I guess I don't know. She's just like kind of like whatever for me. Yeah. I mean, I liked her in Sin City, I guess.
That's because she didn't talk a lot.
That's not true. She did talk. Maybe it's just because I like that movie. That's a good movie.
Yeah. No, but I understand what you're saying. In Idle Hands, I
think she could be funny. And she was just Not that she wasn't funny. I mean, I guess her blandness made me laugh, but it seemed like she was acting in like a Tommy Wiseau movie.
Yeah. And she does have some funny moments, especially at the end when she's on a car lift, like in the school, and the car lift in the mechanic shop is like going up to the roof, and it's gonna mush her.
Okay.
And she has some funny moments or funny lines that she says. But Seth Green and Mighty Ducks guy, they pretty much steal the show.
They do. Because even the other guy, the main, what's his name? Devon Sawa.
Yeah.
He's like physically he was good, like comedic wise.
He's
like,
good. He is a really good actor, and it's insane to me that out of all the people that are in that movie, Mighty Ducks guy, Seth Green, Devon Sawa, Jessica Alba has the career. And I'm not saying Seth Green doesn't.
Not really. She's like a billionaire now because.
Well, yeah, I mean, she does movies. Like she does motion picture. Like she's not a TV actor. Like she does legit shit. Devon Sawa, I say what you will about Idle Hands and Final Destination, but he is fucking good in both of those. I think he's really good. And Seth Green, like you could say that he still has a career because he does Family Guy and a lot of other shit.
Robot Chicken.
Yeah. But still, it's kind of funny that the worst actor in that movie, and a lot of movies that she's in early on, it's funny that she has the career.
Yeah, I guess, that's just the way it works. It's funny about Seth Green. Seth Green, I feel like he is hilarious, but maybe he should just be writing. That's what he should be doing.
Yeah, Seth Green's really good in a supporting role. That's why I think he was so good in Idle Hands, because he only had to talk when it was hilarious. Like the microwave scene, the scene at the auto shop at the end when he grabs the homemade bong that's like made out of a muffler and has like 3 like mouth things on it. Those are like the funniest parts of the movie, and it's all Seth Green.
He really does have great timing. So another person with great comedic talents wrote and directed my next movie, which is Slither, which I just saw recently, and I absolutely loved it. And it's directed and written by James Gunn. It was actually his directorial debut because he wrote Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2, like Rise of the Monsters or Attack of the Monsters, which gives me pause. Honestly, I did not know that he wrote both Scooby-Doo 1 and Scooby-Doo 2, the live action ones, by the way.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then he wrote Dawn of the Dead, which we covered in last week's episode of Wicked Scary Month. Check it out.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. The Zack Snyder one, yeah.
Oh, Pam from The Office is in it.
Yeah. They were married. Did you know that?
James Gunn and her?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks?
Yeah, you have Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks, Michael Rooker. And I didn't know Michael Rooker had a history with James Gunn, which makes sense why he's in Guardians. And of course, I had to talk about Guardians for like 1 second on this show. So for people who haven't seen it, basically what happens is we have a meteor coming down from space, crash lands, and Michael Rooker is married to... By the way, James Gunn is in one scene of this movie. Michael Rooker is like this rich guy who has like a trophy wife who's a teacher, which is Elizabeth Banks. And he ends up going out into the middle of the woods, and he finds this creepy worm thing that shoots a spine out of like a vagina looking bigger worm. It literally opens up and it looks like a fucking vagina. But the movie is kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So the spine goes in him. He starts being really fucking weird and hoarding meat. Like the first thing he does is he opens the fridge and he's looking around. He's like, meat. I need meat. So then he goes to the grocery store, and it's a small town, so everybody knows each other. And I forget what his name is, but they're like, what can I help you with? He's like, meat. And he's like, okay, how much meat? And he's like, take this. I'll take like, 6 pounds. And he goes, wow, you're having a party. He's like, actually, he keeps like saying like how many pounds. And then he pulls up to his house and it's an entire pickup truck bed full of just fucking packaged meat from the grocery store. But his transformation from just being like normal to a full on like weird fucking disgusting like blob alien is hilarious. There's also a scene where he ends up he's continuing transforming. Nathan Fillion is like the small town like cop chief, and a lot of weird shit's going on. And they finally find that there is a creature that has been attacking farm animals. So they go out and they see him like oozing through, the fucking forest or whatever. And they all have him by gunpoint, and he's the alien that's basically inside Michael Rooker loves Elizabeth Banks. And she kind of talks to him. She's like, hey, don't do this. Don't do this. And this one redneck guy, because they get a posse together, comes up to him. And he tells him, we could either do this the easy way or the hard way. And he's got a gun. And Michael Rooker looks at him and just like whips one of his tentacles. And the guy just does that beautiful split in half, but it's a split in half where it's kind of like not all the way sliced bread. So it opens up kind of like a little cocoon.
Like a hot dog bun?
Yeah, but not like a hot dog bun. Because, a hot dog bun on the ends, they're sliced open. So imagine a hot dog bun
like a
without
pita.
the ends.
Like a pita?
I think we're getting really too focused on the bread.
It's been 2 months since I've had bread. I want to talk about bread.
But yeah, he just slashes him right in half. The overusage of gore, I think, another one that we can. I don't know if that's just fun. I think we can consider this gore porn because it's insane. So at this point, they end up going to this barn, and there's this woman where Michael Rooker's stuck his fucking weird tentacle shit into her. And now she is a giant ball. And I was getting mad Willy Wonka, Violet Beauregard vibes.
Oh, nice.
From this bitch. So she ends up exploding. A bunch of red slugs go everywhere. They go in people's mouths. And everyone's having not so good of a time. And they become zombies with a hive mind. They all end up, Elizabeth Banks, the mayor of the town, which I don't know who this actor is, but he was freaking hilarious. And Nathan Fillion get into a car. And when they had rounded up this posse, I guess the receptionist or whatever packed them soda. So he opens up the cooler and he's looking through. He goes, "Where's my Mr. Pibb?" He's like, "Everyone knows it's the only Coke I can drink." And he's like, "There's people fucking slugs coming at me, zombies." He's like, "All I want is a motherfucking Mr. Pibb," which is insane. The weird, crazy shit that is in this movie is what's worth seeing. Overusage of gore, that, and there's also like a grenade scene where it's just very like, I don't know how you would call this. It sounds slapsticky. But it's, for instance, the grenade. He's got this grenade. He's going to throw it at the alien and kill it. And then it just flicks it out of his hand. And he's going after it to pick it up to throw it back at him. It ends up falling out of a window. He jumps out the window. And he goes to grab it. It gets taken out from his hands again and then just rolls into the pool and explodes. So I'm a big fan. I would definitely put this up there as a great horror comedy, although it's definitely way more horror than comedy. Or I'm sorry, comedy than horror.
Oh, definitely. I saw this movie I think I saw it in theaters, and then I haven't seen it since.
Okay.
There's a couple things that I remember from the movie. One is Nathan Fillion being hilarious.
He's great at it.
Nathan
it's actually
Fillion-
funny. He's the only reason he's in this movie because it was filmed in Canada, and according to Canadian law, you have to at least have one prominent actor be Canadian.
Really?
And Nathan Fillion is Canadian, so they joke that was the only reason he got cast in the movie.
That's funny. Yeah, I love Nathan Fillion. He needs more roles, and I know he has this cop show coming out, but it looks fucking terrible.
It really does. I know. I feel bad.
But his character
motherfucker doesn't age, by the way.
No, he doesn't.
He looks the exact same.
His character in Santa Clarita Diet, hilarious. His character has a head.
But wait,
yeah, he's in the second one.
is he? I haven't seen the second season. Is it better than the first?
Fuck. The second season is so good.
Oh shit! Okay,
I won't
because
spoil
I thought
it, but
the first
Nathan
season
Fillion
was
is
kind of
in-
weak. I thought the first season was a little weak.
Really? I thought it was good, but I think second season's better.
Okay, that's good to know. Then I'll check it out.
And the other thing I remember from this movie was it's even at the time the terrible visual effects of the movie.
Oh, the CGI is fucking trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I think it was like a budget thing because I know James Gunn wasn't actually set to direct this, but he thought that he wouldn't like it if someone else had taken it, and he was going to do like an indie film, and he ended up doing this, and I'm glad that he did. But you're right, the CGI is pretty trash. The practical effects are really good though.
Yeah.
I mean the entire alien that Michael Rooker has on him, like the alien makeup, is legit. It took him 7 hours a day to get that makeup on. So
yeah, it's definitely a good movie. Have you watched it recently?
yeah, I just saw it a couple days ago.
Okay, so is it something that could be rewatched, given the horribleness of the CGI and stuff?
Yeah, with the CGI aside, I think the comedy still holds up. I think even some of the horror elements still hold up. It's still it's a fun movie. I would definitely recommend watching it.
That's the
it came
same
out
thing.
in 06 too, by the way.
Yeah,
so.
that was the same thing with Idle Hands. Was I went into it thinking it's not going to hold up, but I was pleasantly surprised by how it held up.
Yeah.
So I might have to go back and watch Slither again.
I would most definitely recommend it.
So my last one is a movie that I saw in theaters and then just watched recently. I don't think I've done this for the podcast, rewatched a movie this recent.
This is the first time I've done it as well.
Yeah.
Which was nice. I feel like I need to do this more often.
We watched Idle Hands on Wednesday, and then I watched Cabin in the Woods, my next one, last night.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, it is a great movie, and it's crazy the problems that it had coming out. So if you don't know, Chris Hemsworth is in it, and there were issues with the movie coming out and financing to release the movie. The movie was actually filmed in 2009, the beginning of 2009. It didn't come out until 2012, which is kind of crazy because the only reason the movie got a wide release was because Chris Hemsworth was in Thor.
Thor, yep.
Yeah. So Thor was like 2011, and then they were like, oh shit, we have this movie that's shelved with him in it. Let's just release it.
Wait, so seriously? Oh my god! So they finished it, and then the studio wouldn't release it.
Yeah,
and
the
then
movie
became Thor.
Right.
So Thor is the reason we have Cabin in the Woods.
Yes. Yeah. It was initially owned by MGM, but Lionsgate,
yeah.
They bought it in 2011 and released it after Thor came out.
They're just like, fuck it, we're riding this Chris Hemsworth train.
Yeah, exactly. But the movie is, dare I say, one of the few original horror movies that hasn't been redone.
It really is. I will say this. This movie I watched Monday on demand on the Sci-Fi Channel with a really fucking annoying banner telling me it's New York Comic Con with all this shit.
Oh.
And then bleeped out stuff. And I'm pretty sure they omitted some scenes too.
There's lots of tits in the movie. Not lots, but there's a couple scenes.
There are, but there even they omitted the clown scene, which I found was weird.
The clown scene towards the end?
Yeah.
That's weird. Oh, maybe because of the whole clown
Yeah, I think maybe
situation. Didn't that die out, though?
It did die out. but the fact is, there were so many things holding me back from enjoying it. Still loved it all the same.
Awesome.
It's a great film.
It is a great film, and it's a really underrated, under the radar horror film.
Yeah, it's still under the radar, even
Yeah.
though it was, I think, a pretty groundbreaking horror movie.
Yeah, and I didn't even know the movie is written by Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard. And if you don't know who Drew Goddard is, he wrote The Martian, created the Daredevil TV show, wrote World War Z, wrote Cloverfield, and he's now directing an X-Force movie. So he is all over comedy and comic book stuff. So he's kind of in that world.
And Joss Whedon is
is
Joss Whedon.
Yeah. So the two worked together like a ton before this. Buffy, Alias, Angel, they all worked together. So they had the
synergy.
Yeah, they had definitely had some synergy. And one thing I noticed about this was like the first movie that I heard Chris Hemsworth do an American accent. Awful. He
it's
is
horrible.
so bad at hiding his accent. And I was wondering, like, this is a little shower thought. Do English people watch Thor and are just like, what is his fucking accent? Because, like, to me, it sounds all right.
Yeah.
I wonder how it sounds to British people, because his American accent is trash. At least it
Well, I'll tell
was back in 2009.
I'll tell you this. If Keanu Reeves can do a British accent, and by that I mean fail horribly, it's not difficult. Basically what I'm saying is British people will listen to that and they say, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse.
Okay. So, just to go over the movie a little bit, if you haven't seen it, it's so hard to explain, because I know watching it in the theater, I actually saw this in theater.
Because the way it opens is weird too.
Yeah. The movie opens with a jump scare of the title card.
Oh,
you remember that?
I didn't realize that. No.
Yeah, it's just like them like hanging out in her dorm room or whatever.
No,
they're like,
before it was
no, they're packing up the Winnebago. The stoner comes up with
but
long ass bong.
I know, the coffee bong, which was genius.
Hilarious.
No, before that it was the guy from Step Brothers and that other guy who's in shit. I don't know either of their names, but the dad from Step Brothers, and they're talking about
they're talking.
That was the beginning scene. That was the beginning scene.
That's the beginning
and then
scene.
it says Cabin in the Woods.
Yes.
But I didn't realize I didn't get a jump scare from that.
That is definitely a jump scare, because it's like they're talking that it's like loud music, like right in your face. Here's the title. It jump scared me, and I wasn't expecting it. So maybe I'm in the minority here.
I think you may be in the minority.
So yeah, I remember watching this movie in theaters after the beginning scene with the dad from Step Brothers and the asshole from Billy Madison.
Oh yes, that's right.
That's all I know him from, asshole from Billy Madison. Them two talking about how all the others have failed. It's up to them and Japan. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
And then it cuts to them at the dorm room and getting the Winnebago ready, going out there, meeting the guy at the gas station. And he's like,
the guy at the gas station. No, that was a jump scare. The guy at the gas station was definitely a jump scare.
That was definitely a jump scare. Not more than the title screen, though.
Okay, we can compare. That's fine.
But so the guy tries to warn them to go back or whatever, kind of warn them to go back, and the whole premise is that they have to choose to go forward and all that shit. And it's kind of funny because when they get to the cabin, there's all these.
It's the Evil Dead cabin.
Yeah, it's the Evil
Dead.
Dead.
That's the funny thing.
First of all, it's the Evil Dead cabin, and it's also some of the premise of Evil Dead 2. You know, with the whole Latin thing, the zombie thing, like it.
The choosing your own adventure thing, is fantastic.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
like the ball that Chris Hemsworth playing with, the necklace, like it could have been anything, but it was the diary that she picked up.
Yep.
And it's funny because the stoner is the only one who's like, wait a minute, something is wrong here.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, there's some Latin here. First of all, in real life, if you see Latin, don't read it out loud.
No one knows how to read it.
Don't read it out loud. The guy's like, seriously, don't read that out loud. And she just, for whatever reason, starts reading it out loud. And that activates like the kill sequence or whatever.
Yeah.
And you get like the campy like sex scene between Chris Hemsworth and the girl that he's with, where it totally reminds me of a Friday the 13th movie.
Oh, 100%.
Where they're just like having sex in the forest, on the ground. And I'm sitting there like, there are spiders, fucking tarantula, like scorpions.
There's fucking shit there.
Yeah, like
sure.
That's the last thing I want to do is get on the ground and start having sex. No.
Last thing I want to do is get on the ground, period.
Yeah.
Even on an open field, fuck around in a forest. Hell no.
Exactly. So the chick gets killed topless. Chris Hemsworth comes back.
By the way, can we talk about the weapon that the thing uses? Because it's a fucking bear trap on a chain.
And it never once shows him reset the bear trap. It's just automatically reset. It's like a resetting, automatic
Maybe
resetting
it's a broken
bear trap.
That's
Is
just
it a
like,
broken
kind
one?
of. I don't know if it is, but it would make sense if it was.
I hope it is, because it never shows him reload it. And that would be a huge movie mistake. But yeah, so throughout the entire movie, nobody is listening to the pothead, and when the pothead actually dies, or supposedly dies in the movie, drags the corpse back down into where they came from. That was like the biggest blow my dick off moment when he came back.
Oh yeah,
and took them down into the room. But before that, the best death of the entire movie is Chris Hemsworth trying to jump the gorge like Fonzie in Happy Days or something, like trying to jump over this little gap, hitting the invisible wall, and then falling like thousands of feet.
Yeah, because I know they make them a little bit stupider.
Yeah,
they put something in their drink and they gas the rooms.
Yeah, and then there's something in that chick's hair dye that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then they get it like wise real quick. They like beat down the zombies. They stick together. They get in the Winnebago and they just drive. And
first of all, I gotta stop you right there. If you go outside and you're getting in the Winnebago and the Winnebago was unlocked the entire time, tell me you're not checking that fucking thing.
Oh, I'm checking the fucking thing. 100%.
Yeah, first thing they do is like beeline straight for the steering wheel. Like, no, look around, make sure there's no zombies in there. Of course, there was a fucking zombie in there.
Or start driving. I mean, you have 3 people. One person drives, the other 2 investigate.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yep.
So you're basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, his epic, just he's gonna save the day, and then he just smashes right into an invisible wall is fantastic.
Yeah, I love that part. And then you get, of course, the guy in the Winnebago that they never looked for kills the black guy, the driver.
Yeah, that's right.
Who has probably the most forgettable role in the entire movie.
He really does.
And then that's when it starts to get crazy. That's when you kind of start figuring out what is going on between Step Brothers, Billy Madison guy, and the kids that are in the woods.
Yeah.
And the pothead like brings them down into the elevator, and I love the part when he says that he dismembered the zombie, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I dismembered that," and she can obviously see because it's in fucking pieces, and the hand is like trying to grab her, and he's like, "Yeah, like don't go near that." And then they go down, and the biggest mindfuck of the movie is all of the creatures and monsters that are down there. Like, it really puts it in a scale. Like, all of the shit that was in the basement of the cabin could have been any one of those things. Yep. And it was like
creatures,
an insane amount of creatures. And that's when it gets crazy. Like, they release all the creatures in the
movie was good, and then it pumps it up to like 11.
Yeah, it really does. They release all the creatures into the facility, I guess, that's like running this whole, I don't know, sacrifice type thing.
Chamber or whatever. Yeah.
And it's funny because the elevators open and then kill all the SWAT people. And then they open
like,
again.
Gruesomely.
Yeah, like ding. And then they all come out again and kill the other SWAT team. It's hilarious. And there's so much blood. It was a white room. And by the end, it's completely covered in red.
By the way, why would they have the elevators too? Like a lobby. for the zombies.
I know,
the
yeah.
creatures. Like, what are they gonna collect them for?
Yeah, he says in the beginning that the creatures came from whoever. I guess it's the devil or something like that.
Okay.
Those creatures were given to them by the devil. But yeah, why would you have an elevator going into the facility from the creature area?
Yeah,
Like,
makes
no.
no sense. No.
So at the end, you find and talk about a forgettable or like insignificant cameo. Sigourney Weaver. Is in this
Sigourney Weaver.
movie.
I know, so totally. First of all, she does like a voice cameo on like the loudspeakers.
Yeah, on the
and then
loudspeaker.
she's in the movie.
Yeah, I remember watching that, being like, "Is that Sigourney Weaver? Oh, they got her voice. That's cool." And then she's in the movie for like another
a minute or two.
Yeah,
yeah.
like a minute. And they find out like the premise of the whole sacrifice, and it was like they had to die in a specific order to make the I want to keep saying devil happy, I guess.
The old ones or whatever they call them.
Yeah. And it turns out the Japanese failed. All the other countries failed that participate in this ritual.
By the way, of course, the Japanese monster was like a girl with like long black hair.
Yes. Yeah. That's the first thing I thought of. Oh, that's a ring. Okay. But yeah, then all she had to do was just kill the pothead, or the pothead just had to kill himself, and then everything would have been fine. But no, they hung out for an extra 1 minute until the devil like reached his hand up.
Yeah,
and
moved
and then killed him anyways.
Yeah, makes no sense.
Pretty ridiculous ending to the movie, but I thought it was a great movie from beginning to end.
It is. It's not only comedic, but yeah, it's just the premise is awesome. Everything about it, all the monsters, the amount of time that they put into getting the different kinds of monsters,
and for such a low budget movie, and I know the CGI was all right. For such a low budget movie, that had pretty damn good CGI.
They did. And they had a very wide variety of monsters, and not just like werewolves and zombies and stuff, and like vampire bats. I mean, there was clowns, there was the murderous redneck family, there was that ballerina thing with like that weird mouth.
The mouth and the face. And then there was that guy with the
saw
saw
guy.
blades. Yeah.
Yeah. So very unique character. And then the merman, how can we forget?
Oh yeah, the merman. How he
That shit was
wants to
hilarious.
see a merman the entire time, and then he finally how ironic.
Gets killed by one. Yeah.
How ironic, yes.
I also love that he's like, oh, come on. And then he just gets immediately killed.
I think my favorite part of the movie is when they first get to the cabin and they're playing Truth or Dare, and the pothead goes, "I dare you to kiss that moose over there." And it's like a fucking wolf. It's a wolf. I remember losing it in the theater, and I lost it the other day when I watched it. I just love that part.
That's awesome. All right, cool, guys. Well, let us know what your favorite funny horror movies is. But we're going to keep this train rolling with some horror scenes in non-horror movies. And I'm going to just say it right now. Probably the scariest fucking scene in the most, you wouldn't even think there would be a scary horror scene. Spider-Man 2. And I'm specifically talking about the Dr. Octopus surgery. So just to set the scene here, we had Sam Raimi basically shoot an entire Evil Dead scene in this scene. What happens is Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, he's unconscious, he's in the hospital, he's got these giant 4 metal arms attached to his spine, and the doctors are trying to remove it. So the doctor's going in with like a buzzsaw, and he sees something move. And he stops. And then he keeps going, and then...
First of all, strap that shit down.
Yeah. Hell fucking breaks loose. We have scenes of these claws. By the way, the way it was shot too is beautiful, because
you
have
it's a great
silhouettes
scene.
of it killing people. It's dragging this woman with her nails like scraping off across the floor into darkness. You have another guy just getting fucking slashed by one. And this is all while he's unconscious and just shit's happening. It's very Evil Dead-esque, where it pops up and it looks at the person and she screams, and then it's first person cam right into her fucking dome.
Yeah.
So I love this scene. It's terrifying. And it makes this movie all the much better because nowadays I feel like they wouldn't have something like that. So Sam Raimi had to get it in there, and he succeeded 100%.
Yeah, it was like a nod to his own movie. And I'm not mad at that, honestly. It was a great scene.
I'm not either.
So my first one is a movie that I haven't talked about in a long time, and I'm about to break it out of the tool chest. I'm talking about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is arguably one of the most horror topics in a Harry Potter movie is Prisoner of Azkaban. And I'm talking about pretty much the entire last like 30 minutes of the movie. Well, I mean, I guess it kind of starts off in the train when the Dementors come. First of all, those things are fucking scary. The Dementors, like, they look like death. Literally, they look like death.
Yeah, they just float around. They suck you off. Not in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. But the end, when, first of all, you get Sirius turning into a wolf. You get Lupin turning into a werewolf. Yes. And then you get towards the end, you get the Dementors sucking the life out of Sirius. Crazy scene, first of all.
Yeah.
Like, imagine looking up at that and seeing hundreds of Dementors just fucking sucking your life out like that.
I'd be concerned.
I would too.
Hundreds sucking.
So that's my pick.
That's a good pick. I think you need to rethink that though, because I'm telling you, beginning Goblet of Fire when he's in that. Are you sure it's Goblet of Fire?
I actually don't think it is Goblet of Fire. I think it might be Order of the Phoenix.
Hold on.
Because I know Dudley looks way older. I'm pretty sure it's Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, it is Order of the Phoenix.
Okay.
So, number 5. That shit's scary as fuck. That's like...
That is a scary
it's quiet.
scene.
It's quiet, and then you get jump scares.
It's quiet, and I think what the Dementors bring with the ice and cooling everything down, it's like the precursor to a jump scare or something, and you do get that.
You do.
So it's like, oh, something's coming.
Yeah. All right, Kevin. So my next scene here is it's not most of the scene. Well, it is the scene, but it's specifically the Matrix belly button bug.
Oh God, I hate that scene.
I've had nightmares because of this.
I have too. I still have nightmares.
This made me want an inwards belly or an outwards belly button. An Audi. That disgusting thing, an Audi belly button that looks like a little pig's tail. But yeah, so the Matrix belly button bug. For people that don't know, Neo gets captured. He's the main character in the movie, and they basically put this horribly rendered cybernetic bug, and it goes right in.
It looks like something from
button.
Skynet.
It does.
It honestly does. A miniature Terminator.
Oh, and his mouth gets shut too. He can't even like speak.
Yeah,
it's like all stretchy.
It gets
and, like, stringy.
Deadpool in X-Men.
Yeah, in X-Men Origins.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, he gets his like mouth shut with like skin.
Yeah.
And then they put him on the table and the thing's like crawling on him and then just goes floop right into the belly button. And the tail kind of like does like it's fucking disgusting. And then he thinks it's a dream, except it's not. And they have this machine where it shoots the bug out of his belly button. There's blood that goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't want anything in my belly button, especially not that Matrix bug. And that scene has always terrified me, even to this day, despite the horrible rendered CGI.
Every now and then I'll have a dream about that.
Really?
Yes. And it's probably been like 5 or 6 years since I've seen The Matrix.
Yeah.
But every time I see it, I have nightmares for a while.
Every time I see it, I always hope that Neo keeps walking across the building. Because you remember if he got away, if he didn't get arrested, because he was basically a bitch.
He was a bitch. Morpheus told him exactly what to do.
Yeah, he did. And so instead he got the belly button bug. So if someone calls me and tells me to climb out of the window, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So my next one is one of the most fucked up movies ever. and it's not considered a horror movie, but it definitely has a horror aspect scene. I'm talking about Clockwork Orange. And if you've never seen that movie, it's a really fucked up movie.
And weird.
Really weird movie, yeah. But the scene I'm talking about specifically is the scene where the main character and his buddies go to a house.
Oh, yeah.
And
that,
how does it start? So they go in like asking for help or something. Like car broke down or something.
No,
I think that's how they get into the house.
Oh, I thought they just knock on the door and they open it and they just and just start raping everyone.
Yes. So they go in, beat the guy, paralyze him, like straight up paralyze him, beat him almost to death, and then his buddies start raping the woman while he's singing a rendition of Singing in the Rain. Yeah. It's insane to watch.
It is insane to watch. It's super uncomfortable for sure.
Yes.
It's very real.
Yeah, and I actually saw a little fun fact. I don't know how fun this fact is, but Stanley Kubrick actually got death threats, and his family got death threats because he was supposed to take that scene out of the movie. And he didn't take it out. He artistically, he was like, I am not taking that scene out of the movie. So it released with that scene in the movie. And people hated it, especially at the time. People hated that movie and the scene specifically.
I was going to say that makes sense because I don't know if you remember from last week, I was telling you about that movie with the guy who, like the British director that his whole fucking career was basically defamed because his movie was like too edgy for the time.
Yes.
So this makes sense because Stanley Kubrick is British, I believe, and that movie is British as fuck, and it has a scene like that. And I was actually, when you were talking about this, I was thinking, how the fuck did they get away with that? But they were mad about some photographer killing a woman and impaling her.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys are straight up like fucking raping people.
Yeah, and it's a pretty graphic scene, and him and his family got death threats because of this scene. Like it was, I guess at the time, like watching it now, it's still graphic, but it's not like there's a lot more graphic shit, even on TV nowadays.
Right.
Like back then, people were not used to seeing a fucking rape in a wide released movie. So it definitely got a lot of hate, and it is one of the most horror centric scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It's just difficult to watch because it's like weird too.
Yeah,
and he's like cutting off like her shirt.
Yeah,
in like circles where her tits. I don't know. It's just very disturbing. Scene,
and it's kind of crazy because like nowadays you have these intruder horror movies. It's like its own subgenre of horror. Like
I feel like that's still scarier than an intruder.
Yeah,
movie.
like they have all these intruder movies, but I kind of feel like Clockwork Orange is like the godfather of the intruder horror movie. Even though it's not a horror movie, it's like this one scene they kind of took and ran with it and made their own.
I'm
genre.
sure that scene probably inspired some things.
Oh yeah,
for sure,
definitely.
All right, well let's just jump into a little bit of bests of or favorites for our horror rundown because
I'm excited for this.
I'm interested to see what you chose.
Okay.
For me specifically, my best monster is the Thing from outer space in John Carpenter's The Thing. And the reason I'm picking this is because at the beginning of the movie, these crazy fucking Norwegian guys are shooting at this beautiful Siberian husky. And you're just like, fuck those guys. Except that Siberian husky is a fucking disgusting mutant alien that can kill you and then become you and become multiple people, and it's oozing and stringy and it kills dogs, so that's always a bad thing. But this is the deadliest monster. I feel like nothing else, because even at the end of the movie we don't know if one of the last survivors is an alien.
That's true. The Thing was terrifying to me.
It's a great movie.
As a kid.
I really rewatched it. It's got a lot of... It holds up.
Yeah. I feel like I have a better monster.
Okay.
And so my favorite monster is the Xenomorph from Alien.
Okay.
Because the aliens, I don't fuck with aliens. They terrify me.
No.
The fact that the Xenomorph looks like an alien on steroids, no. I'm not fucking with that. And it's fast, like Usain Bolt. It's as strong as...
I love how that's your that's your baseline.
It's the fastest guy in the world. It's strong, it'll fuck you up, and it'll face fuck you out of its mouth.
I was gonna say, or it'll fuck your mouth.
That's why the Xenomorph is the most terrifying, best monster in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, not to prematurely jump onto our next little best ever, topic, but I personally think the Thing would kill the Xenomorph because the Thing just needs to fucking touch you, and it's you, so it'll just kill your whole alien hive from within.
That is true, but with the Xenomorph, you have everything that comes with it, like the black mist, the face hugger.
I completely forgot about the stupid mist. This is an Alien Covenant edition. For those people who haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, you just got to breathe the mist in, and you turn into an alien.
Yeah,
not the chest burster,
the back
but
burster.
the back burster. Yeah, which was way worse. It looks way worse than the chest burster.
It does look way worse. It really did.
Yeah, I think the Thing would probably win, but the Xenomorph, I'm still like, if I had to pick, like, as a regular human person, it's like you have to fight the Xenomorph or the Thing. Like, I'm taking the Thing. Because, like, you don't know what's going to happen, but with the Xenomorph, just looking at it, like, you're already shitting your pants.
That's true. That's a good point.
But yeah, I would say the Thing would probably win in a fight.
Okay, sweet.
So, John, who would win in a fight? Jack Torrance from The Shining or Ghostface from Scream?
Oh.
This is a tough one because they're both human. They're both normal people. One of them has an axe and one of them has a Bowie knife, like a huge-ass knife.
Yeah, okay. So if we're going from speed, I'm going to give it to Ghostface because he's got the Bowie knife. You really got to go far back with that axe to get a good blow.
Yeah, it's like an axe is kind of a one-and-done weapon. Like, you swing it once, you got to, like, reset, pull it back. Bowie knife, you can slash, you can stab. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of options.
But having said that, we know Ghostface is as sound of mind person as a person can be, because it's one of the horny teenagers that couldn't get any.
Matthew Lillard,
yeah. Jack Torrance is a complete crazy person.
Yeah, it's hard to stop a crazy person.
It really is,
because
they have that crazy strength. Yeah. They have that crazy strength.
Yeah, exactly. Ghostface wants to kill you, but Jack Torrance wants to, like, kill you and dismember you.
Yes. Yeah, he has absolutely. Basically, Jack Torrance can't act like a normal functioning member of society at this. If we're talking about at the very end,
at the end of the movie, yes, not at the beginning when he's like a normal guy.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going with that.
Yeah,
how about yourself?
I'm going with that too, Jack Torrance.
Okay, sweet. So my who would win in a fight has two men with two very sharp hands.
Okay.
And who would win in this fight, Kevin? Freddy Krueger or Candyman?
Oh, Jesus.
By the way, I love how Candyman was, like, scary back then.
Yes.
It was just like a guy in, like, a big fucking wool coat.
That's tough. Are we in real world or dream world?
Well, technically, Candyman also has a kind of dream world himself.
Yeah. But
except it's in the real world.
Kind of like Inception. I think it's hard to kill.
They're at
Freddy
the height of their
Krueger.
powers.
Yeah, it's hard to fuck with Freddy Krueger. I mean, Candyman. Yeah, he's pretty badass.
Shit, though.
Yeah, he's pretty badass. But Freddy Krueger, not only can he cut you up with his hands, but he's got like some weird shit on his side. Like he can make you see shit that isn't there and make you freak out and stuff.
That's true. But Candyman has those bees. Let's not forget.
You better not be allergic to bees. What if Freddy Krueger's allergic to bees? Candyman
That's his
all day.
downfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, Candyman 100%.
That's his one weakness. It's like his kryptonite, bees. So, John, who would win in a fight? Regan McNeil from The Exorcist or Samara Morgan from The Ring? This is a tough one.
I'm going with like legit demon all day.
They're both technically demons.
I know, but like, didn't we talk about how? God damn it! We talked about how the demon in The Exorcist was like a 5-star general that commanded like legions.
Right.
Samara Morgan, I mean, she's like a sergeant first class at best. You know?
I completely understand what you're saying. I disagree, though. I'm thinking Samara Morgan is definitely going to fuck up. Because, yeah, they're both demons, but the demon for Regan McNeil is in a 11-year-old girl's body.
That's true.
And Samara Morgan looks like a teenage girl, but is not.
Does she? I thought she was like 12.
Well, that's like almost a teenager. You're talking about like 1999 and 2008.
But it is not a teenager by definition.
Oh, God.
I stand by my 5-star general demon.
Regan McNeil?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not on board with that.
Okay, that's fine. What you should be on board with is our next topic, which is favorite kill.
Yes.
I had to really think about this one.
I did too. It took me a while.
Because there are a lot.
I rewatched a lot of people dying.
Yeah, I did too. I think I have to land, though, on not only the kill, but the ridiculous nature of the kill. And that's going to be the sleeping bag hitting the tree. And
I love that kill.
Wait, which one was that? Was that part 3?
Part 7?
Oh shit. The New Blood. Okay. I mean, this kill is so legendary that they even remade it in 2009.
Yeah.
Except that one wasn't really funny. That one was just like, fuck. Because he just puts the sleeping bag over the fire and just like roasts her ass.
Yeah, that was the sleeping bag kill in Friday the 13th Part 7 is fun. It's a fun kill. The one in the remake is like, oh my God, they're roasting her to death.
Yeah. It's just funny because when he... So it's just, of course, a naked girl in a sleeping bag in a tent. And Jason just machetes the tent and walks in. And her reaction is, let me get in my sleeping bag. He can't get me there.
Yeah.
And so she zips up the sleeping bag and he just drags her out. And then just slams her against a tree. And then the sleeping bag rips open and the tits are out. So, I mean, that's some fucking skill.
You got a twofer. You got a favorite kill and tits in the scene.
That would have been a, although very chauvinistic.
That would have been a good topic.
category.
Yeah. What's your favorite kill with tits in the scene? My favorite kill is, it's a movie that I fucking love. It's sinister, and there's a lot of weird kills in the movie, but my favorite one, and it's not funny or anything, it's just I think it's a good, wholesome kill.
Okay.
So the scene I'm talking about is Ethan Hawke. He's watching these movies or projectors. Have you seen the movie?
Sinister? No, I haven't.
Okay. So he's watching these home videos that he found in his attic of the house that he just moved into for super cheap or whatever, the just standard horror trope.
Yeah.
So he's watching these movies, and it's a home movie of like an 8mm handheld camera, and it's the outside of this family's house, and he's watching them through the window, and they're just eating dinner, like TV trays, watching TV. And he gets closer to the window, and he's like right outside the window watching them. The family doesn't know he's there. He walks around back, opens their fence, starts a lawnmower, and starts walking with the lawnmower, and it's pitch black out, and there's only the light from the 8mm camera. You can only see the lawnmower, and it's just complete darkness. And he's driving the lawnmower, and you get a fucking crazy jump scare when there's just like a person there, and he just rolls over her, and
oh shit,
fucking lawnmowers her face, and then Ethan Hawke like gets up, turns off the thing. But that's my favorite kill because it is so.
Wait, were the people still eating dinner?
It's no. So it jumps ahead a little bit. Like he cut the film and then like dragged the family out and then ran them over with the lawnmower.
Okay, all right.
So it's a pretty.
I was like, we need to investigate the family that was eating dinner that has just a body in their backyard, and this guy's over here lawnmowering over it.
No, that's kind of how the MO is for the killer. Like he has these Super 8 reels of stalking a family and then like hanging them or running them over with a lawnmower. That's kind of crazy. But that's my favorite
fucked
kill.
Up.
Yeah.
That's really fucked up. All right, cool. I guess having said that, going into the lawnmower thing, that's a pretty fucking awesome weapon.
It is.
What would your favorite weapon be of a because I know there's a lot of iconic ones, but there's some that are just too good.
I picked the most ridiculous one ever. And I'm sad to say that I have actually seen this movie. It's from like 1989 or 90. It's a movie called Slumber Party Massacre 2. And the whole Slumber Party series is killers that kill people with drills. And
drills?
Yes, with a drill.
Like a power drill?
Yes.
Okay.
So the specific drill in Slumber Party Massacre 2 is a fucking A. It's a drill attached to the neck of a guitar. So the killer walks around, plays the guitar like Bill and Ted style, and then drills people to death with it. Honestly, please, stop the podcast right now and watch the YouTube trailer. It is insane. The guitar is something you would see like Slayer playing with. It's such a ridiculous movie.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think that beats mine because I was going to say the cotton candy popcorn gun in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So, and if you don't know what this is, it's basically a gun that shoots a beam and makes you into a giant, like, human cocoon of cotton candy. And then there's another, I think this the same gun, different attachment, where
it's like a drill set or something.
No, it's like a popcorn. Well, yeah, it's like a Dremel tool. The attachment shoots out like popcorn that flies and tracks you like a homing device. Like the popcorn sticks to you.
That is something that I need at the movie theater because I stand up with like tons of popcorn all over me. That's something that I could do, just blast it in my mouth.
But yeah, it's like all stuck to you, and then the popcorn like grows and becomes these like monster things that eat you. So no, John, I have to go with that guitar.
Okay, I was just gonna ask who would win in a fight, the cotton candy gun or the guitar drill?
I don't know because you
gotta get pretty close to drill him.
You do have to get pretty close to drill them. Fuck, I don't know. Maybe I gotta go with the gun. I mean, a gun beats a melee weapon every time.
Oh yeah, gun beats a drill, but you can also distract them with your amazing guitar playing skills and then drill them when they're mesmerized.
That is very true. So from that, I'm just gonna go into our last thing, which is probably one of the most synonymous things with horror movies, which are jump scares. But I'm talking about the dumb fucking jump scares that aren't actually the monster. It's just some stupid attempt to get you to jump out of your seat.
It's always a cat or in Cabin in the Woods, it's always like a title sequence or something.
Yeah, title sequence. For mine, though, I'm actually not picking from a horror movie. I'm actually going from... I'm talking about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1. And there are two specific Green Goblin scenes
okay.
that have no business being cut the way they were. So we have Willem Dafoe waking up in his apartment, and they asked him what he was up to, and then you just get this.
What are you doing on the floor?
I don't know. Have you been there all night? Last night I was.
And then you have another scene where, and I'm just going to lob these two together because they're just so ridiculous and out of absolute nowhere. And it's not even something that's in the scene, if that makes sense. So, like, you heard it's one scene, but it jumps back, a flashback to another scene for like a second that's like loud music and, you know, a scare. Then you have just a scene where the scene ends and it's just the Green Goblin like jumping out of the camera.
Wake up, little spider.
Wake up. Go home, dear. You look awful.
And then that's it. And it just goes back to another normal thing, which makes no sense. It was like a weird jump scare transition scene.
They probably had that on the cutting room floor, and they're like, we have literally no transition to get to the next scene. So they throw in that one where he's just jumping at the camera trying to get lunch or something.
But yeah, what's your dumbest jump scare?
My dumbest jump scare is actually in a horror movie. It's Chernobyl Diaries, and it's the fucking trope cat jump, but in their own telling of it, I guess. So
wait, is the cat in the nuclear wasteland?
No. So
okay.
If you don't know the movie, they're exploring Chernobyl after obviously the Chernobyl accident. So they hear some noises in an apartment building, and they go in to investigate, and they keep hearing these noises, and it's oddly quiet. Oddly, like, you know a jump scare is coming.
Yeah. And
a fucking bear jumps out on like the 5th floor of this apartment complex, runs towards them, and their whole like way to get like not have the bear maul them is just like move out of the doorway, and the bear just runs past them. I'm like, the bear is not that stupid. It's not just gonna run past you; it's gonna stop and maul the fuck out of you.
It was like the bowling ball of a bear. It's just like, oh,
I guess so.
It's one path,
it can't
I'm
stop.
Going.
It can't stop. No. But yeah, that is the dumbest jump scare off of one of the dumbest jump scares tropes, the cat jump.
Is it a good movie?
I like it, but a lot of people don't. It's
okay.
It's like The Hills Have Eyes, but in Chernobyl.
Okay. So in Russian.
Right.
Russian.
Right.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, before we close things up, I have one last question for you and the audience. What horror genre could you survive?
Not many.
Yeah.
Do I have picks here, or do I have to guess?
No, you could just whichever one you think you can choose from.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, like whichever one you think you have the best
Definitely
chance of surviving.
Definitely not surviving a zombie apocalypse. Not surviving a vampire or werewolf. Not surviving an alien attack. Or a Skynet level thing with machines. I think I'm going to have to go with like a intruder level horror thing.
Okay.
Like strangers type thing, yeah.
You live in Arizona. If you notice, not
Everybody's
one intruder movie is set in Arizona.
Yeah, that'd be the most inaccurate movie ever.
Yeah, he's like comes in with a knife. He's like, oh wait, this guy's got like an AK-47.
Yeah, he comes in, guy shoots him, roll credits, movie over.
Yeah.
What about you?
I know this is gonna sound super crazy and ignorant, but I feel like I could survive a demon thing. And the only reason
Are you
I
possessed?
say that, well, no, I guess
Okay.
I guess mine's kind of like a stupid like
a
cop-out
paranormal
thing
activity type thing?
yeah, just move.
Okay.
Like, I'm sorry,
But
that's worth moving.
They explain that in Paranormal Activity 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, but I'm not talking about like La Dia de los Muertos paranormal activity. I'm talking about one. Leave the house.
But it could be the type that follows you around. You never know.
That's true. Yeah, actually, I'm going to revoke that.
I think the moral of the story is don't get a fucking Ouija board.
Yeah.
Like, if you've ever had an experience like she clearly had throughout her life in Paranormal Activity, She gets a Ouija board. Or no, the guy gets a Ouija board, and she's like, I don't like that shit in the house. And that's what fucking brings it in. Moral of the story, don't get a fucking Ouija board. I've never used one. I never would.
Or speak Latin out loud.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason Latin is dead.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for sticking around. That concludes our Wicked Scary month. We do have another little surprise for you guys before the month is over. But that concludes it for us on this episode. And of course, if you haven't noticed, we have a new logo, kind of a new name, and just all around good fun stuff that we've got going on. As you know, we have become Wicked Hot Movie Mayhem, just in case people didn't understand what kind of podcast we are. Now you guys know. And as always, give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram for all your Wicked Hot status updates at Wicked Hot Talk. We will see you guys in another 2 weeks, or will we? Actually, I still think it's 2 weeks, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah.
Okay. So we'll see you guys in another 2 weeks. Thanks for checking out Wicked Hot. We'll see you again.
Bye, everybody.